welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Tobago. I'm Davia Chambers coming to you from Downtown Scarborough. Now our team has been out and about covering the length and breadth of the island to bring you the major stories taking place right here in beautiful Tobago. As usual, in the next half hour, we'll bring you up to speed with all of the details. All you've got to do is sit back and relax because Let's Talk Tobago starts right now. It's another first for Tobago. This time, the island provided much-needed pediatric hyperbaric treatment. The National Gas Rebate Incentive Program has been relaunched to benefit registered fisherfolk and ultimately the consumer. The Tobago division of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service receives a timely donation. And later, a popular pro footballer gives back to her community with a youth tournament in Speyside. We have all these stories and more for you when Let's Talk Tobago returns. Stay with us.
Come, there we go to Tobago, that paradise, won by Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world say, come to Tobago for holiday. Smile, let we smile in Tobago. That paradise found by Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the
Earlier this year, staff at the Roxborough Hyperbaric Unit successfully treated David Goddard for the bends, also called decompression sickness. Now they've taken up the challenge of being the first in the Caribbean to provide hyperbaric oxygen therapy for a minor. We'll tell you more about him and why he's getting that kind of treatment in our first story. Have a look.
6-year-old Jaron Phillip is the first pediatric patient being treated at the island's hyperbaric chamber for his seizures. Jaron began suffering from seizures when he was 18 months old. The seizures have delayed his development, so much so he needs assistance carrying out simple functions like drinking a cup of water. Over the years, Jaron's dad, Keston Phillip, did a lot of research into hyperbaric oxygen therapy as a possible treatment for his son's seizures. Mr. Phillip is hopeful that the treatment at Roxborough's hyperbaric chamber will have positive results for his son.
At some point in time, you get to understand how oxygen therapy works. It gets into the hard places. And so we're hoping that the oxygen will get into those dead areas whatsoever is causing the seizure, and healing and restoration will take place. And when that happens, whatever is causing the heightened electrical activity will no longer cause him to have those cognitive problems. And so we are hoping to see him run again, ride his bike again, walk again, even hear him call his brother's name again. We're looking forward to that.
In the first phase, Jaron will undergo 15 sessions of hyperbaric oxygen therapy in the hyperbaric chamber. This kind of treatment for a child has been applauded by medical practitioners such as Dr. Tyler Sexton, Director of Caribbean Hyperbaric Medicine. For over 2 decades, Dr. Sexton has specialized in pediatric hyperbaric medicine in the United States.
So what is so incredible about Tobago embarking on this is you have taken a stand to say we believe in pediatrics, we believe in quality care and expanding evidence-based medicine and continue to look for ways to impact populations. But it is an incredible opportunity to touch the pediatric population as there's a vast array of illnesses that can be positively affected with hyperbaric medicine.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is used to treat many ailments such as decompression sickness, also called the bends, diabetic ulcers, and other types of wounds. Spending time inside a hyperbaric chamber increases the concentration of oxygen a patient receives, which leads to faster healing. The medical professionals at the Hyperbaric Chamber Unit were commended for the work they continue to do in providing quality health care to all of their patients.
It's always a friendly one, a welcoming one. And also, you know, Mr. Hines, when you speak with him, he gives you a sense of assurance and confidence that he is the right person for the job. And so I thank God for Mr. Hines and for all the work that he has been doing in the background, even when I was willing to give up. So I thank God for that.
We have confidence in Mr. Hines and his team and their ability to deliver. Their record speaks for itself. So let's go through the process, and we are all here to lend support to the family and to pray and hope for the best result.
Jaron's medical team will continue to monitor his health as the sessions go along. This medical care is an encouraging first step to the possibilities for other children with similar conditions. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
A donation was made to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Tobago Division by the U.S. Embassy of Trinidad and Tobago and the American Chamber of Commerce. They provided 12 electronic bikes to help boost the island's security response. Here's more in this story.
The U.S. Department of State Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement, through the U.S. Embassy Port of Spain, donated 12 electric bikes and one solar-powered electric bicycle charging station valued at U.S. $61,200 to the TTPS Tourism-Oriented Police. The American Chamber of Commerce, Trinidad and Tobago, also donated a second charging station valued at U.S. $9,000. Acting Commissioner of Police McDonald Jacob says the handing over of the 12 electric motorbikes coincides with the rollout of the Directed Patrol Policy as outlined in the TTPS Operational Plan 2020 to 2024.
The main districts in Tobago will be zoned for mobile patrols, and the grid system currently adopted by our Traffic and Highway Patrol branch in Trinidad will be replicated with adjustments which are unique to Tobago.
These e-bikes will assist the Tobago Division to patrol larger tourist destinations area more frequently and improve the incident response time.
This is a project to demonstrate what is possible and to highlight how the specific actions we take in our daily lives can reduce the footprint we leave on the environment. This project is also a chance to improve community safety for citizens and visitors.
Every little thing that contributes and goes towards making this place cleaner, safer, healthier, and to achieve that, making the police more present, more energized, more professional, more available to the citizens, particularly when we need you, is really refreshing to my soul.
According to Chief Secretary Honorable Fali Augustine, the tourism industry has been facing security threats such as terrorism and crime. So this donation is quite timely.
And not so long ago, I pointed out that the next fleet of vehicles we will be bringing in Tobago will be electric vehicles. I did not realize that it would be bicycles. But we are happy to have these bikes that are environmentally sound, that fits into our model of a green plant and green island, green tourism, a green economy. And we are happy that with these inputs, our officers will be able to discharge their duties much more efficiently.
And at the heart of this initiative is the Tobago Operational Center, which was opened in November 2021. ACP McDonald Jacob says the officers will now be equipped with an additional 20 body cameras and 80 more will be distributed at the end of July. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
The National Gas Rebate Incentive Program was restarted by the THA's Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries several weeks ago. It's a refund incentive providing support to the island's fisherfolk. If you're in the fishing industry, find out how you can access your rebate in this next story provided by the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment, and Sustainable Development.
We have restarted the gas rebate program on Tuesday the 31st of May. The aim of the program really is to provide an incentive for registered and active fisherfolk by returning a small percentage of the monies that they would have spent on oil and gas throughout the year. This is to encourage the progress of the industry. Receipts, invoices, bills for the purchase of gas and oil that would have been used specifically for the purpose of commercial fishing will be considered. The receipts must date from the 1st of January 2020 to present. Firstly, your engine must be registered. You need to bring in your boat ownership card, your fisherman ID, the receipt for the purchase of the engine, and your national ID. After that, the Fisheries Extension Officer will schedule a visit to your landing site where she will register your engine. You want to start that now?
Yeah, I think I get all the documents here. The extension officer that came and stamped my engine already.
Oh, so you did it already, this process already?
Yeah.
Now that you have registered your engine, you are ready to do the gas rebate process. You must be a registered fisherman and your fisherman ID must be valid, which means it is not yet expired. You must have a vessel registered in your name and the boat ownership card must have your name, the name of the vessel and the TFT number. You must also have a receipt of ownership or a letter of gift. A form of photo ID, which is your national ID, your driver's permit or your passport, and it must be valid. Submit a proof of address. This is either a utility bill or a bank statement and it cannot be older than 3 months. It must have your full name and your address. All the invoices from the gas station must be specifically for the purchase of gas and oil for commercial fishing. Seeing that your engine is over 40 horsepower, you can claim for 27,500 liters of gas per year, or 6,875 liters per quarter. And for oils, if the oil is mixed with fuel, you can claim at a rate of 1 gallon of oil to 8 gallons of fuel. And if the oil is not mixed with fuel, you can claim at a rate of 1 gallon of oil to 30 gallons of fuel. The good thing is, all the gas stations throughout Tobago have been officially informed, and they would have agreed to assist fisherfolk in completing the quota cards and the fuel purchase forms. If you have any further questions, queries, concerns, feel free to contact the department at 639-4446 or 639-4354.
The Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries is super excited about the relaunch of the gas rebate program. Fishermen have been made aware of the various criteria that needs to be met, and with an MOU with the gas stations around the island of Tobago, Tobago fisherfolk would soon be getting a gas incentive program re-established where they can now see returns on their sales. Fishermen, though the incentives may not seem like large numbers, still would be benefiting from 12 cents, 10 cents and 75 cents for gasoline, diesel and oil respectively. So the department looks forward to the continued collaboration with all fisherfolk, all associations and all persons influenced by the fishing industry in this program moving forward, and we wish for nothing but the best.
It is time for a break, but when we return, we'll share with you the do's and the don'ts if you encounter the giant African snail. It's coming up next, right after this break. Stay with us.
Come, there we go to Tobago, that paradise, Bombay, Robinson Crusoe, and it is said it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world say, come to Tobago for holiday. Smile, every smile in Tobago. That paradise, Bombay, Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Ronald Reagan say, come to Tobago for holiday. Now Bill Clinton say, come to Tobago for holiday. If you want a happy vacation, you can get it right here in my land. If you want a happy vacation, you can get it right here in my land.
Not all snails are created equal. In fact, some like the giant African snail can wreak havoc on the agricultural sector. It also poses a threat to public's health. In this next story, Omadara Mill shares why this is a potential problem for Tobago and some do's and don'ts when it comes to dealing with this type of snail. Take a look.
This piece of property at number 1 Lambo Orkinscure is currently under quarantine. That's due to the sighting of the giant African snail in the area. The snail species has been contained, but the area will be under surveillance for several years to ensure complete eradication. This is one of 3 reported locations in Tobago where the giant African snail has been sighted. The other 2 areas were successfully treated, but ongoing eradication efforts suggest that the presence of this pest is a serious concern for the public. Casey Marie Boucher-Koon, Plant Protection Specialist in the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development, explains why.
It's very prolific. That means it multiplies quickly and makes large amounts of young. In addition to that, it also is the vector of the rat lungworm, which can cause meningitis in humans and other ailments in domestic animals like dogs. The giant African snail, once the population begins to explode, easily becomes a public nuisance, as we have observed in the sister isle Trinidad.
The giant African snail is a deep reddish brown with cream and yellow longitudinal stripes along the shell. This snail eats more than 500 species of plants, including lettuce, pawpaw, and various herbs, so it can easily hamper the agricultural sector. Those who traverse between Trinidad and Tobago should be especially mindful. Carefully check the undersides of vehicles, since the snail can attach itself to the undercarriage. Casey Marie also has some advice on the kind of pesticides that can be used to eliminate the pest.
We ask that you take the additional precaution of treating your planting material with the active ingredient thiodicarb. This is a pesticide that is effective at killing snails and eggs. This pre-treatment before returning to the port to come back to Tobago will help us 100-fold in preventing Tobago from becoming overrun by giant African snail.
There are other methods of treating with this pest. The plant protection specialist tells us how.
If you should encounter the giant African snail, you should cover your hands, whether it be gloves or a plastic bag, before handling them, and place them in a salt or bleach solution. And that mixture is 2 cups of bleach or 2 cups of salt to 1 gallon of water. And you will drown them in that solution for a minimum of 24 hours. After the snails are dead, the best means of disposal is to contain them and burn them.
Eradicating the giant African snail is everyone's business, so early reporting and intervention is extremely important. This will help the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development eliminate the presence and threat of this snail on the island. If you're interested in joining the eradication team or want more information about the giant African snail, call the Plant Protection Unit at 482-7528. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Tobago-born international professional football star Kenya Yaya Kortner is on a break after a long season in the Turkish Women's Super League. She made sure to give back to her community, the village of Speyside, by hosting a recent 7-versus-7 football tournament. Here's more.
The key to turning dreams into reality is action. Those words define the steps of Kenya Yaya Kortner as her dreams of making it as a professional footballer became a reality. Having made it to the professional level, Kortner returned to her home village Speyside recently to give back to her community. The talented Yaya, as she is fondly called, hosted her inaugural 7v7 football tournament for boys and girls under 17. And it was a success, according to Yaya. Kortner also did not hesitate to thank fellow villager turned Chief Secretary of Tobago, the Honorable Fali Augustine, for his support of the tournament.
It all started for me at the age of 6, right here in this Speyside recreational ground. If you turn your head and you look over to the hills, that was where my grandmother lived, where I grew up. So every Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I will just leave home knowing that I have chores and go on the field and just kick rocks, bottles and sticks, because I didn't have a football then. And to grow into the footballer that I am today, I took it upon myself with some of my friends to come back and give back to the community at Speyside. The tournament on the whole ran smooth. Everybody enjoyed themselves. I had positive feedback. Yeah, well, I would like to say thanks to Mr. Fali Agustin, because without him this tournament would have never been possible. And knowing that both of us is from Speyside and he came on board big time to help out with everything was really my heart.
Connor added that this tournament stemmed out of kids not having the opportunity to showcase their talents, and as such, she wanted them to know that their talents weren't going unnoticed. And out of this first tournament, opportunities will arise for talented youth from this island of Tobago.
In the years to come will be much bigger and better, because teams outside will want to take part, because from this last tournament that I had there, a team from Canada will contact me because they want to take part in the next one, which is next year, same time. We'll have scouts there to scout the talent of the older boys.
Chief Secretary Fali Agustin was also on hand to show his support for the tournament and encourage the youth that there is a lot of benefit to gain through the sport of football.
This facility, I want to congratulate you all for a job well done. Came to Speyside, you played hard, you performed well, and the benefit of this exercise is that I want you to understand that there is a lot of room to progress and growth in football.
Connor also used the opportunity to leave some words of advice for the youth.
I always say, sky has no limit, and once you believe in something, you go after it, you put your all in it, because there's a lot of people out there who will tell you that you're not good enough, and you have to say to yourself, I am good enough, and the opportunities is there, it's for you to go out and take it.
The tournament was held at the Speyside Recreational Grounds in Speyside. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
Now, plants have various health benefits. We just have to understand how to use them. In this next story, we tell you about a seminar that gave Tobagonians greater insight into the medicinal purposes of different plants, including some herbs that are readily available. Here's more in this story.
Herbs and spices like rosemary, thyme, and nutmeg add flavor to many dishes, but they also have significant medicinal value. That was the focus of this Herbs and Spices seminar spearheaded by the Kendall Farm School. The two-day workshop saw just over 50 participants learning about the health benefits of various plants. Many of them found the course an eye-opener.
The knowledge of the medicinal purposes of those plants that we grow up with that we take for granted. Alright, stanfern is so powerful, but you just take it and you stamp it on your hand. You have a tattoo, an immediate tattoo, and that was fun when you was growing up, but you didn't know the real purpose of this plant. So it's interesting. This would be another way to deal with some of those illnesses without having those harsh side effects.
Once we put the knowledge to use, it could be very beneficial, not just for self, but so many people are suffering with all types of ailments, and more, as you were saying, doctors will give you remedy for the symptom, not the cause at times. These herbs will help us live longer and more healthier lives.
The sessions also included some practical elements as it relates to irrigating different types of medicinal plants. Technical Field Officer Potter Bruno gives some insight into that aspect of the course.
What I want to show them tomorrow, God willing, is how they could commercialize a venture like that. So I will be putting in an irrigation system on a bench, using spaghetti tubes and spikes and stuff like that. Right? On the outside there tomorrow, God willing, I want to lay down a drip irrigation system. Then we will plant according to where the drips are.
It's expected that the participants will put the knowledge into practice, whether it's to start a business or to improve their health.
We would like to stimulate agribusiness in Tobago, right? Herbs and spices, something, as I would have mentioned before, we use every day, not just in our meals but also for medicinal purposes, right? Simple agro-processing like green seasoning, pepper sauces are things that we can stimulate, the public and empower them. It would stimulate small businesses within our communities, within Tobago on a whole. In so doing, we are going to promote revenue generation within our island.
This seminar was the first in a series of agricultural courses taking place during the July-August period. The other topics include water and drip irrigation, systems and techniques for water conservation, as well as ginger production. For more information, people can call the Kendall Farm School at 660-4395. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
So we have to take another break, but don't go away. Let's Talk Tobago will be right back. Stay with us. Climate change is a hot topic issue, and countries like Trinidad and Tobago experience its effects a lot harsher than larger countries. Understanding this, the government continues to take steps to mitigate and adapt to the changes. In this next story, Omadara Mills has highlights of the discussions held with several stakeholders in Tobago. Take a look.
Continued global warming as a result of greenhouse gas emissions doesn't just mean a rise in sea levels, loss of land space, and damaged infrastructure along the coastline. It also has the potential to destroy our coral reefs and all that's with them. Impacts like these will have a ripple effect on our livelihoods and lives. So a Tobago-based sensitization session facilitated by the Environmental Management Agency, EMA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Planning and Development is timely. The discussions focused on ways in which the country plans to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by a cumulative 15% in 3 sectors: power generation, transport, and industry by the year 2030. Stakeholders also learned about the agency's monitoring, reporting, and verification system. It's a digital data collection system where officers from the various stage divisions and environmental groups will put in information relating to factors such as fuel use and the amount of waste sent to the landfill.
Having this type of system, it ensures that Trinidad and Tobago is monitoring, reporting, and verifying the information based on international standards. It ensures that appropriate mitigation measures are being implemented in line with the Paris Agreement. It allows us to track any support we may receive in terms of climate change policies or actions. A major one is it promotes reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, and it also allows for the collaboration of the entities involved.
The information gathered through the EMA's monitoring, reporting, and verification system will provide statistics for the country's national communication and biennial reports. The data collection will also inform climate change legislation that will be created in time to come. The country's actions in reducing our greenhouse gas emissions stem from commitments made at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement.
We need now to track these emissions and to design a system where we have to now comply with reporting obligations under the Paris Agreement, the so-called transparency reporting, because you now have to account to every other country in the world and the world at large as to what we are doing and why we are doing it and whether we are achieving it.
Close to 20 people participated in the consultation held at the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. Some shared their thoughts on this kind of climate change awareness session.
Sessions like these are very insightful. It puts the technical stakeholders in a position to learn from each other while giving us the information we need to take back to our various areas of interest.
I think they're really excellent initiatives as part of the global community. We also are impacted by what is happening in the world, and we could make a contribution in terms of how to address the situation and mitigate against any deleterious effects.
It's hoped that there'll be continued collaborations among all the sectors in implementing the necessary climate change measures that will lessen the impact of greenhouse gas emissions and help us adapt to the changes in our climate. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
So we've come to the end of yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and a productive week.